For the first time in 13 years, United States deploys 7 aircraft carriers simultaneously. The United States has simultaneously deployed 7 of the 11 U.S. nuclear aircraft carriers for the first time in over a decade, according to the US Naval Institute. The 3 aircraft carriers with full air wings and strike groups positioned in the Western Pacific are the following: USS Ronald Reagan, USS Nimitz, USS Theodore Roosevelt. Another 4 are conducting short training missions as part of training operations or workups ahead of deployment. 2 out of 4 are operating in Eastern Pacific: USS Carl Vinson and USS John C. Stennis, and the remaining 2 are operating in the Atlantic, the USS Abraham Lincoln and USS Gerald R. Back in 2016, 6 carriers were underway, and that was considered a milestone event by Chief of Naval Operations John Richardson. The last time 7 carriers were deployed dates back to 2004, according to USNI. The report quotes an unidentified Navy official to shed more light on the upcoming drills. The Reagan, Nimitz and Roosevelt strike groups are all operating in the United States 7th Fleet area of operations. Reagan is operating in the Sea of Japan near the Korean Peninsula, while Nimitz is returning to its home port and naval station Kitsap Bremerton, Wash, after a deployment to the Persian Gulf to conduct airstrike against ISIS targets. Roosevelt deployed from San Diego on October 7, set to replace Nimitz as part of the continued United States operation against ISIS. More basic details were provided by the report for the remaining aircraft carriers. Vinson is conducting a planned sustainment exercise and flight tests with the F-35C Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter, while Stennis left Kitsap Bremerton last week for training after coming out of a repair period. A sailor on Vinson was injured Friday after being struck with the plane being towed on the flight deck. Lincoln is undergoing a series of qualifications following the completion of a midlife refueling and complex overhaul and return to the fleet in May. Ford's continuing years of tests and training before the ship will be fully integrated into the U.S. fleet and leave on its first deployment sometime in the early 2020s. Naval aviation is supporting the requirements of combatant commanders forward while building our capabilities for future deployments and qualifying new pilots with training near shores, Vice ADM Michael Shoemaker, Commander Naval Air Forces, said in a Monday statement provided to USNI News. The addition of USS Gerald R is exciting, as we test the capabilities for the future. This up-tempo is not ordinary, but the demand for carriers remains as high as ever. Also on Monday, VOA's White House Bureau Chief Steve Herman confirmed what had been speculated previously, namely that 3 of the carriers will participate in an extremely rare drill in the Eastern Pacific, right off the Korean Peninsula. Last week, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Joseph Dunford tried to defuse the situation, saying that these 3 carriers are not there specifically targeting North Korea. This is a routine demonstration of our commitment to the region. The exercise is overlapping President Trump's 12-day excursion across Asia amid high tensions between Pyongyang and Washington. Indicatively, as of last week, this was the latest positioning of US carrier strike groups, courtesy of Stratfor. With 7 carriers deployed today, of which 3 are about to launch drills in Western Pacific, we find it odd this is all occurring around President Trump's trip to Asia. On October 28, North Korea accused the U.S. of making criminal moves for igniting a war of aggression, after Kim Jong-un learned 3 US Navy carriers will operate in Asian waters. According to Jim Mattis, United States Secretary of Defense, said our goal is not war, but rather the complete, verifiable and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, something North Korea has previously said it will never agree to. Finally, another drill that should be closely watched is Israel's largest ever aerial military drill, which started yesterday. Sometimes these drills accidentally go live.
Go. I work in every magazine. No. It's cheap. Good, Howard? Yeah, go the other way. Far the other way. Right. Nope, over. How's that look? Okay, just like that.
I'm not from my head. 30 to, it's 20 to 30, 35 to 40s. Or no, 40 to 30, 30 to 40. That's what it is.
Alright. Watch your face, AO2.
Why do you like people taking longer? You know to go all the way around. I don't make it faster.
sea power. It's what's projected by the presence of a battle-ready aircraft carrier and its accompanying strike group. Both USS John C. Stennis and USS Ronald Reagan strike groups have joined forces in conducting dual aircraft carrier operations in the Philippine Sea. To help strengthen the ties between them, the ships and aircraft assigned to both aircraft carrier strike groups began coordinating operations in international waters.
Working with Rear Admiral Hitchcock and Carrier Strike Group 3 during their deployment to the Indo-Asia Pacific regions has been a great opportunity for us to train on how we would operate multiple carrier strike groups in a contested environment.
The strike groups practice war-fighting techniques which could be used in modern conflict.
No other Navy can concentrate this much combat power on one sea and synchronize the activities of over 12,000 sailors, 140 aircraft, 6 combatants, and 2 carriers. It was a truly impressive sight, and it's an important operational capability.
Flight quarters, man all flight quarter stations.
Air defense drills, surveillance, air combat training, and long-range strikes were a handful of the combined exercises.
All is ahead full, 095 RPM indicating S4, sir.
U.S. Navy aircraft carriers have conducted dual carrier operations in the Western Pacific, including the South China Sea, East China Sea, and Philippine Sea, for several years, and task force commanders expect to continue these evolutions, supporting security and stability in the Indo-Asia Pacific for years to come. Petty Officer Elijah Lenar, aboard USS Ronald Reagan, at sea.